Hello and welcome to testingworld.com. In this episode, I'm going to be covering RPA vendors. You may be thinking, why RPA vendors? Well, if you think about them, they're not so dissimilar to automation vendors, right? So a lot of the organizations, like Automation Anywhere, started off in the test automation landscape and then switched over to becoming an RPA vendor. So what we're seeing as an emerging trend is people moving to what we're calling robotic process testing. So the new Gartner quadrants just come out for RPA. So what does that mean for us in the automation landscape? Well, we've seen people like NICE move across from leaders, which is a big jump. I've been dealing with people like Appium and Pegasystems who have now moved into that visionary category. And then of course, we've got the big players, UiPath and Blue Prism, that are still there.
But one of those vendors that isn't mentioned is Leapwork, which is a robotic process testing tool. So as you can see, I'm now going to interact with the new vivitworldwide.com website. And as I'm interacting, I'm going to go over to the festival's website. And then I'm going to start the clock for our Mercury challenge. So I'm interacting with the website, I move over to festivals, and then I'm going to start the clock timer. Now, because we're using an RPA vendor this time, I'm going to show you not only just using Selenium or some kind of web driver to be able to interact with a browser, but actually how we can interact with enterprise applications. So that's things like desktop, but that's also things like SAP, so your SAP GUIs. So let me show you. We're just quickly going through and we're going to register. Now, what's different from this week from last week is, of course, it's no longer just for VIP orders. We're now opening it for free tickets for the upcoming DevOps Festival. So I'm going to buy a free ticket and that's going to let me go all the way through the checkout. Whereas previously we kind of stopped at that purchasing stage. As you can see, I've thrown in an assertion where I'm going to pull in the value. And once I get that value, whether it be a number or a text, I can obviously do an assertion to check the value is 0. Now moving over, as you can see, I can now buy a ticket. And when I'm buying a ticket, what the next page will give me is my details. And obviously you're going to need to put your details in to get your e-ticket. Now, the good thing about this is that, of course, you can see I'm interacting, I'm pressing a button, pretty standard stuff. I can also, of course, data drive this, so I can make this dynamic data that's maybe pulled from another system. I can also create it from some kind of spreadsheet or database. So there's all that kind of capability. But I also can write out to those adapters. So I can just plug them in as I need them, whether it be a query, an API call to go and get myself some test data. As you can see, I'm just going to quickly populate it. And of course, if you want to go on the website now, devops-festival.com and register, then you're going to need to put in an email to get your free ticket. Now, the difference with the free ticket is, of course, it's for the event only. It doesn't give you any of the on-demand stuff, which is now available on the website. But the good thing is you download the tickets. Now, I've done this on purpose because when I download the tickets, it gives me a PDF file, which you can't see, but I'm going to click on it in the right-hand side. I'm also going to want to add it to my calendar so I don't forget. So I'm going to switch from WebDriver into WinDriver and actually control the desktop. Now, this is, of course, things which you can see from tool vendors like Power Automate and UiPath and Blue Prism. That's their kind of bread and butter. But since Coded UI went end of life, Microsoft really not had that ability to interact with your Win32 based applications, which of course are going end of life in the new Windows 11. But as you can see, I'm able to click on my Outlook and I'm able to interact with it. And in this case, I've added that to my calendar, so I'm not going to miss the event. And then I'm also going to open and interact with the PDF. Now, to save time, I'm going to open it and then I'm just going to print it directly off. Now, you could print this off and then maybe you're using Tesseract or you're using some kind of third-party OCR to actually then read the file and do some clever stuff. So there's all sorts of stuff what you can do. And as you can see here, not only have I interacted with a third-party Win32 application, but I'm also able to natively deal with the WinDriver for the standard OS features. Now, these are the kind of problems that we've had in the past where we've had to plug in third-party tools that are able to do this because we're not able to rely on them from a WebDriver Selenium capability. As you see, I saved that, I printed the file off, and now I've completed that scenario. Now I'm going to play it back just up to the point where it buys a ticket to give you an idea of just how quick that is. And it's incredibly rapid. Again, we're going into the new Vivit website. Then we're interacting, buying new tickets. And of course, it records all this on the screen. It also, the elements that you interact with. It also has a really cool strategy where it allows you to...
So you might be asking, well, isn't that twice as much work? So what happens if you've got one tool, which is a track-focused, test-focused automation tool, but why own another car which is exactly the same, which is the same thing, but it does it every day? It does it for the business use, it does it for the commuter use. So these two cars, if you go quickly over to look at this one, are exactly the same, but have two separate purposes. This for test and dev, and then this car purely for operations. So my question is, can you use robotic process test automation?
So I think the answer is absolutely. Combining the strengths of robotic process automation with your test automation focus tools gives you the best of both worlds. And you can show from leapworks.com that by combining robotic process test automation with both Win and WebDriver, you're coming in at a very respectable 2 minutes and 7 flat. I think we're starting to see a whole new evolution of automation by combining both the shift right tools with the shift left tools